Okie doke. All right, this is video 2 that goes with this lesson. And so we are going to, we've got 3 problems here we're going to go through. Okay, and we're going to take this and we're going to just kind of split this up so it doesn't mess us up too much. We'll start with this first one right over here. 6z squared equals 216. Now, the thing to know is when we are solving for a variable, right, we always do the same things. And the first thing we always do is we always try to make sure that the variable is the only thing on the side of the equation, right, and we move stuff over. If you look at this one, there's nothing else to really move over. It's just 6z squared equals 216. Same thing with this one. This one, we would move that 5 over first, right? So we'll do that in a moment. But the other thing you do then is before we're going to go and take the square root, we got to make sure that the coefficient in front of this is 1. So when you have a number in front of your variable that you're solving for, in other words, when it has a coefficient other than 1, then what you need to do is you need to divide to get rid of that. So we're going to do that. We are going to go 6 and divide by 6. And what that will do is that will give me z squared is equal to whatever 216 divided by 6 is, which I believe is, is that 36 maybe? I want to say it's 36, so let's pull up the calculator. 216 divided by 6 is, yes, it is 36. All right, so 36, I could have done long division on that, but there wasn't enough room. All right, and so now at this point, this is basically a problem like what we did on the first video. Okay, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, oops, we don't want that. All right, so we're going to go, that was strange. I think that needs to go away. Let me see if I can move this thing, right? Okay. Alrighty. So what we're going to do now, right, is we are going to take the square root of both sides and not put any other weird variables there on accident. So we have z squared equals 36. Remember, this is going to give us a positive and a negative root. So we're going to have positive and negative 6, which we can also write as z equals 6 and z equals negative 6, right? Just all these different ways we can write things. We're going to probably want to get used to writing them this way because we will later on in this week be using that to go a little further with it. Okay, so actually we'll be doing it in a little while. All right, so next, again, negative 3w squared equals negative 213. Divide both sides by negative 3 because we want that coefficient to be equal to 1. And these will effectively cancel, right? They divide and give you 1, right? Which is what you want, a coefficient of 1 in front of your variable. And then this is going to give me, I'm going to, I don't know, 72 maybe? Let's figure it out. 213 divided by 3 is 71. Make sure I'm doing that right. All right, yeah, 71. Square root of 71. And it's going to be positive, right? Because we got a negative and a negative. And remember, your division rules follow the same rules as multiplication, right? So this is going to give us the square root of 71. And if you didn't know, 71 does not have any square numbers you can pull out. Remember, you would think, other than 1. So 4 doesn't go into it. 9 doesn't go into it. 9 goes into 72, but it does not go into 71. 16 does definitely does not go into it because it would have to be an even number, right? 25 doesn't go into it. 25 goes into 75, but not 71. And then 36 does not go into it, and you should be able to recognize that, that whole even odd thing, right? So that means that we are going to leave it in radical form. This is called a radical. This sign right here, right, is called a radical sign. We're going to leave it in the radical form like this. Okay? And when they look like this, we will almost always leave it like that unless it says, you know, solve your answer to the nearest 10th or 100th or whatever. Then we know that they want us to approximate this, which is what you have to do, essentially, because these are irrational numbers. They do not have clean decimals. All right, now this next one, I gave you the spoiler earlier, and I said that the first thing we got to do is we got to get 3x squared by itself on one side. You always want to get the variable by itself. So there's 5 over here, so we're going to subtract 5. All right, and you're going to get 3x squared equals 36. All right, sweet. Next step, we are going to divide both sides by 3, and you're going to get x squared is equal to 12. And then we are going to take the square roots. I'm going to write this on another line here. All right. So 12 is not one of these numbers, obviously, as we can see, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to see if we can factor one of these out of it. And it would have to be one that's smaller than it, right? And 4 actually does go into 12. So we're going to rewrite this and say this is equal to the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. Okay, we know that we can split that up like that. And the square root of 4 is that we can do that, right? So square root of x squared is not x squared, it is x. Bad job, Mr. Simons. Pay attention. All right, and then this is going to give us positive and minus 2 times the square root of 3, which is the same thing as saying square root of 12. But we do it this way because sometimes we can use that to help us simplifying fractions and things like that. So you always try to break these down and simplify them as much as you can. Get as many rational numbers out of that as possible. All right, and so we can just leave that like that for the sake of this video. So hopefully we're starting to get a handle on this, right, and seeing how this works. Okay, the next video we're gonna take it one more step further, so that when we get to completing the square in a couple days, we've got all the tools we need to do that. All right, we'll see you in the next one.